She caved. Kamala Harris caved. She caved like a, I don't know what, she just caved. She folded like a cheap folding table, like a house of cards. Kamala Harris gave in to ABC's demand. Kamala Harris only wanted 3 things out of these debates. She demanded that if she was going to debate Donald Trump on ABC News in Philadelphia on September the 10th, she said, I have to have these 3 things. And ABC News said, no way, Jose. And Donald Trump said, nah. And Kamala Harris caved anyway. The debate will go on, and she will not get any of her demands met. And I, for one, am very excited. I'm very excited. We're going to go through these one by one because it's going to be an exhilarating experience. I'm so glad that I'm headed to Philadelphia for this debate. I am so excited about. You know who else is excited? Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell is so excited about this Kamala Harris debate. Listen to this. Oh wait, where is? Hold on. Let me actually get the clip of Rosie O'Donnell, and then you'll hear it, and then it'll make a lot more sense to you. Rosie O'Donnell was on TikTok right after the CNN interview that Kamala Harris held with Dana Bash and Tim Walz.
Well, hey everybody, it's Friday all day. I just watched the Kamala Harris interview on CNN, and I cannot wait for the debate. She is so eloquent, so quick, so intelligent. She is the opposite of him in every way. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. That could be the final nail in his coffin right there.
Okay. So Rosie O'Donnell says that Kamala Harris is eloquent and quick, and that this debate is going to be the final nail in Donald Trump's coffin. This is going to be the final nail in Donald Trump's coffin. All the others, all the 91 indictments were not the final nail in Donald Trump's coffin. The 34 guilty verdicts in New York City, not the final nail in Donald Trump's coffin. The 2 impeachments, the raid on Mar-a-Lago, all of these other things that happened, getting shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, those were not the final nails in Donald Trump's coffin. But this debate with Kamala Harris will be the final nail in Donald Trump's coffin. Mark Rosie O'Donnell's words. I have a question. How many nails are there actually in a coffin? Because it seems like maybe Donald Trump's got like an extra big coffin. Maybe he's got like the grand deluxe Trump Tower sized coffin. And he's like, I need more nails in that coffin. If anybody knows how many nails actually go into a coffin, I'd be curious, because maybe she's right. Maybe Donald Trump has so many nails in his coffin already that this one debate, although I don't think this debate's going to go well for Kamala Harris. And I'm pretty sure that her caving into these demands is petrifying her with fear. Now, keep in mind, the last person to debate Donald Trump in a presidential election did so badly that his own party forced him out of the race. Joe Biden, when he debated Donald Trump, he did such a bad job. He was so horrible at it that his own party said, you're no longer our candidate. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. And they sent him back to a fake White House with a little tiny desk, which we'll get to. We'll get to all that here. We'll get to all that here in just a minute. But man, there's these 3 demands, and I'll go through them. I'm going to go through them 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to tell you why she caved and what it means for the debate. But I do need to tell you that I'm very excited for the debate, not just to watch it live with you, because we are going to be live streaming it, but also because I'm going to be in Philadelphia. September so far is shaping up to be an amazing month. We relaunched officially yesterday, right after Labor Day. And man, there's Katriots from all over the place. We've got Katriots popping up on YouTube, and we salute you, and on Rumble, and we salute you guys. And people are watching on X and Facebook and all over the place. If you haven't yet subscribed, by the way, whatever platform you're on, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If there's a notification button or some kind of thumb up, go ahead and hit those too, because we're independent now. We are independent broadcasters. We are no longer under the thumb. We are no longer under control of the fake news woke media companies that own and operate pretty much every single media landscape in this country. We are independent broadcasters. And by we, I mean this guy right here. I keep saying we because I'm used to working with a bunch of people. It's just me. It's yo solo. Está bien. I think I got to brush up my Spanglish, but that's basically what we are. So we need everybody to follow and like and share and thumb up. If you want to throw us a super chat on YouTube, man, we would love that. And we are going to take all of those super chats, all of the Rumble rants that we get. Every dime of support that you pour into Mark Kaye Saves the Republic goes right back in to Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. We want to make sure that we can continue to do this every single day through Election Day. We want to make sure we can continue to do this well beyond into the future. We want to be sure that we can continue to bring you an entertaining newscast every single day that is informative, that is inspirational, that is enlightening. And we want to be able to do that, without, like I said, the control and the oversight of the fake news liberal media that's owned and operated by the socialists. Anyway, that's where we are today. So thank you again for joining us on all these platforms. If you're listening on iTunes, if you're listening on Spotify, simple. All you have to do is say, hey, I'd like to subscribe to this podcast so it's delivered to my phone every single day, and then feel free to share it with a whole bunch of your friends and family members. Oh, speaking of family members, before we get to Kamala Harris, did you know what happened with Tim Walz's family? Tim Walz, you may remember over the weekend, we had a report that Tim Walz's older brother came out. Not like he's not like into dudes. He might be. I think Tim Walz may be, but I don't have any confirmation on that. Anyway, Tim Walz's older brother came out to the New York Post and said, hey, this guy cannot be vice president. This guy, you do not want this guy in control of the country. This guy, the stories I could tell, was the headline with Tim Walz's brother. And now the rest of the extended family is following suit. They posted a photo. A whole bunch of Walzes. Let me say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 of them. 8 of them. Pardon me. 8 Walzes. I believe they live in Nebraska or one of those other middle of the country states. And these 8 Walzes in Nebraska are all standing under a banner. They posed for a photo. It says Trump 2024, Take America Back. And each one of them is wearing a shirt that says Walzes for Trump. Yeah, it's Nebraska. Nebraska Walzes for Trump. So Kamala Harris has chosen a running mate whose own family will not vote for him in Nebraska to be vice president of the United States. Kamala Harris has chosen a running mate, and that running mate doesn't even have the support of his own family in Nebraska because the Nebraska Walzes are for Trump. This is, and I love when the families get involved. I hear people talk all the time. I heard another guy say yesterday he doesn't like when the families get involved. I love getting the families involved. I think the family should be involved in every aspect of your life. My kids, they're into politics. They're into the show. They send me ideas. My kids see something on Twitter or YouTube and they're like, Daddy, you should talk about this on your podcast. And I go, I absolutely will. They're, getting registered. They're excited about the election. And I think it's important. Whenever I travel, because I do a lot of live speaking gigs. I spoke to a Republican group in the middle of the state a couple months ago. I'm scheduled to go down to the Villages in a couple months and speak to another group. I'm in demand, folks. I'm in demand. You might not know it just by looking at me, but I'm in demand. And I bring my kids along with me so that they can be part of the process. I love when families get involved in politics. Some people don't, but if the family's coming forward and they're saying, look, we know some stuff. We know some stuff about this guy. This guy can't be trusted. You can't trust this guy as vice president. You sure as heck fire can't trust him as president. We don't even like the fact that he's governor of a state. And where is relatives? I mean, think about it. Think about that. How bad do you have to be that your relatives are going to walk around wearing the other guy's t-shirt on their back? I mean, that is just, you've got to be an abhorrent person. And I really think that that's not something that should be taken lightly. Yeah, okay, fine. Your ex-wife says you're horrible. She's your ex-wife. We get it. Your ex-husband says that you're kind of an SLUT. I guess I could say slut. I don't have to. That's, you know what? It's your ex-husband. We're going to take it with a grain of salt. But when your family members come out and say, you know what? This guy's not good. That's going to be, that's something I think we should listen to. Unless it's Mary Trump, because she's just crazy. She's just crazy and looking for cash. That's all she wants. Anyway, and also speaking of family too, I'm wearing today my NYU hat. And I know what you might be thinking, Mark Kaye, why are you wearing an NYU hat? Well, this is in celebration of Barron Trump, who starts his first day, starts his first day at NYU today. Look, there he is. He left Trump Tower and he drove down, or he was driven down, to NYU. Barron Trump emerges from Trump Tower, flanked by Secret Service, arrives on campus for first day of college. Fun fact, it's a university, but, that's neither here nor there. And I went to NYU years ago. I went back in the late 90s, mid 90s. And I went to NYU. I graduated from there. I have a dual degree, like a hybrid degree in political science and film. So that's why, and the fast forward, and I'm using both of them, by the way. I used to say college was a waste of time, but now I do, look at what I do. I do live videos of political stuff. So clearly I'm using both my film degree and my political science degree. So kudos. Anyway, I have this hat. Anyway, I never wear this hat because NYU typically is seen as one of the most liberal schools in the country. And it is. And Washington Square Park is so dilapidated now. It's just drug dealers and crackheads. It was drug dealers when I was there, but not so many crackheads and homeless people. But nowadays, it's just devolved. The entire city of New York, under the Democrat leadership of Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul and the Cuomos and all these other clowns, has just been, it's just awful. It's just such a sad thing to see. And if I were to send my kids to NYU, which I never would, I would definitely want some Secret Service protection for them because it's a tough place to live these days. But when I left NYU, it just became more and more liberal. And I never really wore the sweatshirts. I never really wore the hats. I never really associated myself with the university. I had a great time. It was fun back in the mid-90s. Nowadays, though, it's just kind of this liberal cesspool of socialism. Until today, because Barron Trump has brought a little bit of the luster back to NYU and show, no, it's not just a place for all of these crazy socialists to go and smoke weed in the park. It's actually a solid school, the Stern School of Business, where I imagine he'll be taking some classes. Very good school. So anyway, I'm wearing this hat in celebration of Barron Trump joining my alma mater, and at least for the next 4 years, it'll be a little bit more conservative than it was. Barron Trump, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Barron Trump has been integral in Donald Trump's transformation in the 2024 campaign and integral in getting Donald Trump the Gen Z. Which one is it? Let's say I'm Gen X. Yeah, Gen Z vote. Donald Trump has been doing a series of these long form interviews. The first one he did was a live stream from Mar-a-Lago with a guy named Aiden Ross, who's a gamer and a streamer and who's young and who Barron Trump knows and is a fan of. I mean, Barron Trump's 19. Of course he's watching Twitch or Kick or whatever the new hot. I joined Kick. I haven't started streaming on Kick yet because I don't know. I gotta figure it out. But there's all these different platforms, all these different streamers, all these different young voices that are out there wanting to be heard, and they have huge followings, 7 million people, 8 million people. Then it was Theo Vaughn, comedian / podcaster who Donald Trump invited into Mar-a-Lago, and they sat down and they did a very in-depth, very cool, in my humble opinion, interview as well. And now it's Lex Fridman, who is a former Russian guy. I mean, I guess you're always a Russian guy, but he's from the Soviet Union. His parents escaped the Soviet Union. He's a Russian guy. Now he's a very famous podcaster. He gained notoriety thanks to Elon Musk. Elon Musk, I guess, promoted him or made him famous because of a video this guy did where he proved that people who drive Teslas with the self-driving mechanism on are not just sleeping. There was a big report. Oh, if you drive a Tesla and you turn on the self-drive mode, you're not going to be hyper aware of your surroundings. So he did a podcast or he did some video where he tested that theory and he found out it was false. And of course, Elon Musk loved it. So he retweeted him and promoted him. And now this guy dresses up like, the Men in Black, and he does these podcasts with all these famous people. Well, he sat down with Donald Trump and did a podcast yesterday, which was very interesting, super fascinating. And again, all thanks to Barron Trump. So 19-year-old Barron Trump is an integral part of this whole campaign, and he's doing his part for sure to get his father reelected so that he can save the republic, which is all we want to do every single day of our lives. I'll bring you some of the clips from that interview because again, it was fascinating. It's almost that interview with Lex Fridman and these long form interviews that Donald Trump does with all of these podcasters are fascinating to me because A, I too now am a long form podcaster, and B, you really get an idea when you have a longer conversation with somebody of what they think and who they are. The less editing, the more truth. Is really how I see it. The less editing, the more truth. And radio has always kind of been that way. Television is always edited. But now podcasting is super honest, not just because it's long form, not just because there's less editing, but because a lot of times, you don't have the FCC regulations. So anything you say can be aired anywhere in the entire world. And I think that it's really going to change the face of political campaigning. It already has. It's almost as fascinating to me as Tim Walz's entire Nebraska family voting for Donald Trump and posting this photo, Walz's for Trump. By the way, they're all smiling. They're all smiling. They're not one of them. I can see teeth on there's one guy that has, okay, he's got his closed lips, but he's smiling. He's smirking still. And these are not crazy looking people. These look like your normal everyday Nebraska folk, good folk. And clearly they've got a good head on their shoulders too, because they're just because they're related to Tim Walz doesn't mean they're dumb enough to vote for him. Imagine that would be, I'm sure there'd be someone in my family. If I ever ran for any office, I'm sure somebody in my family would be like, I'm not going to vote for Mark Kaye. I'm sure there's somebody right now who would never in my family. In fact, I can name 3 people in my family who are disgusted by this podcast, who are disgusted by what I do for every time I write a book. This book, Go Trump Yourself, they're probably burning it at the family reunion. I'm not going to name any names, but they know who they are. And they're not even listening anyway because they're disgusted by me. Listen, we're going to get to the Barron Trump stuff. We're going to get to the Lex Friedman stuff. We're going to get to Donald Trump. But first, we have to talk about what Rosie O'Donnell is calling one of the most exciting debates in history.
Well, hey, everybody, it's Friday all day. I just watched the Kamala Harris interview on CNN, and I cannot wait for the debate.
Okay, was she stoned when she watched this thing on CNN? I just watched the Kamala Harris interview on CNN, and I had 4 edibles. And now I have to tell you, I cannot wait for this debate. And by the way, edibles
she is so eloquent, so quick.
Excuse me.
So intelligent.
Okay, hold on. Clearly she had 5 edibles maybe. That wasn't a fat joke. It's just edibles are that's how you get the drugs these days.
The opposite of him in every way. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. That could be the final nail in his coffin right there.
Yeah, coffin. That could be the final nail in Donald Trump's coffin right there. That's it. Rosie O'Donnell. That was scary. Rosie O'Donnell excited for the debate next week. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the debate. I'm going to be there. I'll be across the street. We'll be bringing you live feeds. We'll be bringing you live information. I believe I might actually, and I'm nothing set in stone yet, be back on the television in time for the debate in Philadelphia too. And then after the debate, we've decided where we're partying. If you're in the Philadelphia area. If you're in the Philadelphia area and you would like to join us post-debate, it's very easy to do. We are going to have a Katriot meetup, meaning if you're a Katriot, if you're watching this right now and you want to come party down with us, then by all means, you're invited. We're going to a place called, I've never been there, but I got a lot of good reviews. It's called, what's it called? Let me see if I can get it here. Screen share. There we go. Wait, my screen share is not working. It's called the National Mechanics Bar and Restaurant. Why is that working? Oh, I know why. There we go. Hold on. Wait, there's the walls. There we go. All right, here we go. It's called the National Mechanics Bar and Restaurant, and it is in Philadelphia. It's in the historic district. It's right down here. Well, in the historic district. And we've got a couple people who've already said they're coming. It looks like we have 3 people who are going. Look, there's Jason's going and Dot's going and I guess I'm going. I'm the 3rd person. And we have a couple people who are interested. Scott and Roberta are very interested in going. They have to check with their spouses first to see if they can get a sitter or something like that. But it's going to be Wednesday, September 11th at 7 p.m. That's a week from today. That's next Wednesday. And it's the day after the debate. We're going to go out. We're going to have some drinks. We're going to hang out. We're going to chit chat with each other. It's going to be a fun little Katriot meetup. If you'd like to go, all the information is on my Facebook page, or you can just show up. But this debate is going to be, it's going to be very, very exciting. Rosie O'Donnell's right about that. I'm excited for it for a different reason, though, because Kamala Harris has caved to all the demands set forth by Donald Trump and ABC due to the first CNN debate, or in line with the first CNN debate. And here's what Kamala Harris wanted. Kamala Harris wanted, first of all, to have notes. Okay. Now, having notes at a presidential debate, I believe right there should disqualify you from being president of the United States. Having notes at a presidential debate, it's like saying, "Hey, can I bring notes to the SAT?" Is the SAT an open book test? Those are the kinds of things that I see the notes at a debate. Like, if you want to be president of the United States, you should be able you should be able to speak extemporaneously about any and all topics. Whatever question is thrown at you, you should have the answers ready to go. You should have the statistics ready to go. You should have the examples ready to go. If somebody asks you about your agenda, you should be able to eloquently explain why that agenda would be beneficial to the United States of America and why you believe that your plan would help the United States of America return to a prosperous society. Kamala Harris wanted notes. I don't know what she was going to write down on them, because if you go to her website, guess what? There's still no agenda. There's still meet Kamala Harris, meet Tim Walz, take action, and store. There's absolutely nothing about her agenda. There's nothing about her policies. There's nothing about her platform. It's just photos of her and her mom and more photos of her and Doug Emhoff, and there's really nothing concrete at all. There's nothing noteworthy on this website, so I don't know what she's taking notes about. The only thing on there is meet Kamala Harris, meet Tim Walz. Maybe she's taking notes because she doesn't want to forget her running mate's name. Maybe that's what her notes are going to say. Tim Walz? Is it Tim? Wait, is it Tim or is it Tom? Because that one guy called him Tom.
Those are the exact Midwestern values, qualities, and work ethic that will make Tom a great vice president.
Yeah. Maybe that's what, anyway, she wants to have notes, but I don't know what she's writing down because she doesn't have any policy positions that she would need to reference anyway. The second thing she wanted to do was sit. She wanted to sit down for 90 minutes. 90 minutes, either she can't stand for 90 minutes, or she just doesn't want to stand for 90 minutes, or she feels that if she's sitting, she could have the notes in her lap. You know, like that. Like if you're sitting down, you got to have notes in your lap, and someone asks you a question, you go, oh, let me just think about that for just a minute with my head down toward my lap while I scan these notes that's what a lot of people are saying. The reason she wanted to sit down was so that she could have notes in her lap. So if there weren't going to be notes, at least if she were sitting down, she could have some kind of crib sheet. She could have it written on her pants. I don't know what they do. I don't know I haven't cheated on anything in a really long time. Or ever is what I meant to say there. Oops. Or ever is what I meant to say. But there's some kind of way. So she's got to stand. No notes. She's got to stand for 90 minutes. But really the worst thing for Kamala Harris, the thing that's really going to get her goat, the thing that's really going to make this difficult for her is that the muted mics are going to be in effect. She tried her darndest to get rid of the muted mics. She tried her best to say, I'm not going to debate. I refuse to show up. If the mics are muted, I'm not going to be there because that's not just fair. We need to have a real debate. And the reason for that is because Kamala Harris has one line. She has one comeback. She's got one tactic in this entire debate. And that is to paint Donald Trump like he's some kind of misogynistic bully who mansplains and talks over women. So her whole goal was to get Donald Trump to talk over her, interrupt her, and then turn to him and deliver her famous line, I'm speaking.
If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
I'm speaking. That's her woman empowerment line. I'm speaking. And she's like, I'm speaking. She did it in the debate against Mike Pence. She's done it at every rally where the protesters come out. She was planning, again, I think that's the only note. I think that's the only note she would even have if they allowed notes. Her whole plan at this debate was not to win on policy because she doesn't have it. Her policies, she has a phantom policy. It wasn't to win on her achievements because she doesn't have any. She's a border czar with a failed border. She's not done anything. Really, the economy's through the roof. Gas prices are horrible. Prices of food is horrible. You can't afford to buy a home. You can't afford to borrow money, even if you could afford to buy the home. Law and order, forget about it. The crime rate is through the roof. It's ridiculous. She's been a debacle. Her and Joe Biden have been the worst duo since, probably that's it. They're probably the worst. That's it. They're the worst duo in history. And now she wants 4 more years with Tim Walz, and people realize that. So her whole plan at the debate was, if I'm going to win this thing, I have to get Donald Trump to trounce on my words and then say, I'm speaking.
If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
And then she could take that clip and say, see, Donald Trump's a bully. Donald Trump doesn't respect women. Donald Trump talked when I talked. And then everyone will say, did you see Kamala Harris hand it to Donald Trump? Oh, yeah, really? What, she handed it to him with foreign policy? No. Oh, she handed it to him with economic policy. No. When did she hand it to him? When he talked over her and she said, I'm speaking. That was the moment she won the debate. That's all Rosie O'Donnell's looking forward to. But now the mics will be muted. And with muted mics, there is no chance for Donald Trump to talk over Kamala Harris. When Kamala Harris is talking, Donald Trump's mic will sound like this. See, I muted my microphone so that you couldn't. I was emulating what it would sound like. Now, if I'm Kamala Harris's campaign, I'm paying off somebody at ABC. I'm either digging up dirt so I could threaten one of the microphone techs, the audio techs at the debate, or I'm dumping a big vat of, what do you call it? A suitcase full of cash at their doorstep, getting them to accidentally forget to turn off Donald Trump's mic at some point during the debate so she could still use her famous line.
If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
And now Kamala Harris won't be interrupted by Donald Trump. And that's not even the worst of it. She has to take 2 or 3 or 4 minutes or however long she's given to speak uninterrupted about stuff she knows nothing about. And we all know how well that went. We all remember the CNN interview that just got Rosie O'Donnell all hot and bothered about this debate.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far.
To do that, we can do what we've accomplished thus far. What even does that mean? That's the line I imagine that Rosie O'Donnell was like, that's the nail in the coffin. Well, to do that, we can do what we've already accomplished thus far. There was a line in the Donald Trump-Joe Biden debate when Joe Biden was done speaking and they cut back to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump said something along the lines of, I don't even understand. It was Jake Tapper said, President Trump, would you like to respond? And Donald Trump said, I would, but I don't understand what the hell he said. I don't think he knows what he just said. That's going to be replayed. That's going to be a line that Donald Trump uses again in this Kamala. It has to be, because she's not going to have concrete, solid answers. She cannot be trusted to speak. Again, no teleprompters, no notes, no sitting down, and no interruptions. It is a nightmare for her. She is dreading this debate. And unless she gets COVID or monkeypox or monkey COVID or whatever it is, COVID pox, I don't know what the new diseases are that are floating around. Unless she gets one of those conveniently by next Tuesday rather, this debate is going to be detrimental to her campaign. It's going to be devastating to the Kamala Harris Walz campaign. And it's going to put her deeper in the hole. And she is in the hole. Don't be thinking, I know that all these people, I know everybody's talking about these polls and how Kamala Harris is ahead and blah, blah, blah. Look, I want to show you the poly market one more time, because the poly market in my mind is, a lot of people talk about polls, and I asked the question. In fact, let me start there. I asked a question about polling because I've never been polled myself. I've never been polled at all by any pollster. I've never had somebody call me up and say, can I get your take on the upcoming election? And there's a couple things about polls which are really interesting. The first thing that you need to understand about polls is that the people that answer polls, or the people that are polled, are typically liberal. At least the majority of them are liberal. If you have, let's say you have a poll of 1,000 people, at least 600 of them are going to be liberal. That's where you get the plus and minus. That's where you get the, that's where you get the, what do you call it? Well, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. The thing. But the conservatives typically don't answer polls. They don't, if somebody called you, first of all, conservatives don't pick up the phone. We don't trust numbers we don't know. We let it go to voicemail. We listen to who it is, and then maybe or maybe not, we will call that person back. But here it is. I wrote this post on, September 2nd, and I wrote, has anyone ever been polled? And I got a ton of responses. In my 52 years of voting, I have never been polled. So it makes one wonder, who are these people who are being polled? That's Dominican Dandy 53. Dominican Dandy? I'm right there with you. Brandon, all the time, but I'm in a purple area. Ah, I see. So they're polling people in purple areas because those are the only polls that they believe they're particularly concerned with. Love bug. Nope, never. Nor have I ever been called for jury duty. Well, don't get me started on jury duty. I've been called a couple of times. Nope, nope, nope. I was pulled through text. No, on and on and on. Nope, never, never. Nope, yes. Mr. Ultra MAGA guy wrote, only twice in 8 years. So these polls don't come to everybody. They don't come to conservatives. And when they do, conservatives just don't trust the polling person anyway. I mean, I wouldn't, if somebody called me up and started asking me my politics, all right, I would tell them, but the average person would not. So I don't trust these polling places. What I do trust is the poly market, because the poly market is I guess you would say it's a combination of, or it is a forecast that is built on not just polls, but world events and economic, forecasting and economic, factors. There's all kinds of things that goes into the poly market. And they look at not just the overall vote, not just the popular vote, but they look state by state and they try to figure it out. And the poly market right now has Donald Trump beating Kamala Harris, and it keeps going up. Look at that, 52 to 47%. That's a 5 percentage point difference. The only two states that they claim are still unwon or undetermined are Nevada, which they have going to Donald Trump 52% to 48% with its 6 electoral votes, and Pennsylvania, which now a whopping 53% lead for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris's 47% lead, 19 electoral votes up for grabs there. And as this continues, it's interesting to watch the poly market because, again, this is not just a polling establishment. They take into account all of the other factors. They look at 401ks. They look at public opinion. They look at global markets. They look at, conflicts. They look at everything. And these are people that say, if you were going to bet on the election, and when you bet on the election, you want to make sure you have all the accurate data, this is who would win. So checking out polymarket.com is a great way to figure out and to understand exactly where this election is. But the other thing you need to look at is not just public opinion, but also the media. And the media, I'm going to be honest with you, the media is freaking out about the increased, increased opportunity that Donald Trump has to win this election, the increased, perception that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. Kamala Harris never got the bump she needed from the DNC. She never got that honeymoon period ended very quickly. And now she's got nothing to run on. She's not doing interviews still. And Donald Trump's out there doing interviews every single day. There's an increased perception and a belief that Donald Trump will win the election on November 5th, and that is causing the media to outright panic. And Donald Trump has adopted this brand new media, these podcasters, these live streamers, these internet people, and he's adopted them and he's fed them, and that is something that continues to push him forward while hindering and hobbling Kamala Harris's chances at winning this election because she refuses to speak. And what we're learning is the more content you create, the more you put yourself out there, the more questions you answer, the more real you are, the more votes you're going to get. Hence this Lex Fridman interview that Donald Trump did, with Lex Fridman that came out yesterday. And I'm going to play you some clips from it. Before I do that, though, I would like to remind you that if you are looking for any kind of Mark Kaye merchandise, we have a bunch of it. We have a lot of it, and we put it all conveniently in one place, the Mark Kaye Shop. If you go to markkaye.shop.com, you can see we have there's my daughter modeling the Brighter Future collection with Donald Trump's iconic quote from the RNC, which sounds like this.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
Yeah, that was a great quote. And we put it on some great merchandise, and you can go and you can get all of it right there. I have this, I wore this Brighter Future camo tee the other day. It's got the Mark Kaye signature on the front and the quote on the back. And I have to tell you, I got a lot of, I get compliments, but I got more compliments on this shirt than any shirt I think that I've worn in a very long time. Also, the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic garb is out. I was wearing this hoodie yesterday all day. Which was very comfortable, very stylish, and a lot of people scooped it up as a result. Whatever I happen to wear during the live broadcast, I've noticed people go by. For example, this signature rope cap, which I love, whenever I wore that yesterday and a bunch of people said, oh, I want that on my head too. I should probably sell NYU caps because that's what everyone's going to want. In fact, you know what? I'm going to switch up. In fact, I'm going to switch out my hat because I'm not in the business of selling NYU merchandise. There you go. Look at that. There's the Mark Kaye signature rope cap, which you can get at markkaye.shop.com. And again, anything you get, we're going to send right out to you. It's high quality. It's really nice stuff. It's comfortable, made in America when at all possible. And it comes pretty quickly. Also, some of these items you're not going to find anywhere else. This signature Blue Star shirt, it's tough to find one of these. First of all, you can't find anything with my signature on it other than on the Mark Kaye shop. And if you do, let me know because it's totally bogus. But it's great stuff and it looks good and it's quality. And again, anything you purchase,
America's future.
Pardon me, President Trump. I'm going to cut you off there. Anything you purchase, we take all of the profits and we put them right back into Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, so we can continue to bring you this fantastic show every single Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends, and we can do other exciting stuff as well. So Lex Fridman sat down with Donald Trump. And for those of you that don't know Lex Fridman, again, he's this young Russian guy who turned into a podcaster, and he's now gotten some of the biggest. I mean, he has this very interesting kind of, it's a very intense looking set. He wears a black suit and a black tie all the time. And he sits down and he does these long form interviews with people. And he landed an interview with Donald Trump, again, thanks to his son, Barron, who's a big fan. And he just, dove right in. And he asked him some pretty interesting questions. The first one was about politics and the name calling and how it's a dirty business.
Politics is a dirty game.
It is a dirty game. It's certainly true.
How do you win at that game?
They suffer from massive Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, and I don't know if it's curable from their standpoint.
It's not. Fun fact, and this is a great question, and this is a great answer because Donald Trump said, look, they hit at me and I hit back harder. And this is something that I've never understood about the Republican Party, and this is why so many conservatives have glommed onto and appreciated and adopted Donald Trump's characteristics. I hear it still today. People say, I love Donald Trump's policies. I just don't know why he has to be so mean. I just don't know why he has to go on Twitter all the time and say the things he does. I don't know why he has to call people stupid and say that they're horrible and insult people. Why does he do that? Fun fact, it's because they insult him first. It's amazing. You never hear anybody say, I love Joe Biden, but why does he have to lie about Donald Trump and call him a racist and a misogynist and a homophobe and a xenophobe? Why does he have to say that he instituted a Muslim ban? Why does he have to say that Donald Trump inaccurately called our servicemen and women suckers and losers? Why does he continue to perpetuate the lie that Donald Trump said that the neo-Nazis in Charlottesville, Virginia were good people? I like that Joe Biden a lot, but why does he have to say all those horrible things about Donald Trump? No, you don't ever hear that. But man, if Donald Trump says Kamala Harris is just the worst leader, unpopular, so stupid, so careless, then that's all you hear about it. Donald Trump's a misogynist. He's scared of women. It's not true. It's not. He didn't start the attacks. He's just defending himself. And for years, nay, decades, conservatives found themselves on the wrong end of this battle. Lex Fridman said it great. What do you say? Politics is a dirty business? Is that what it was?
Politics is a dirty game.
It is a dirty game. It's certainly true.
Yeah, it is. You don't go into politics thinking you're going to make friends. You don't go into politics thinking that you're going to have sleepovers and do each other's hair and nails. It's not how it works. You go into politics knowing you're going to have to fight every single day. Not just your foes, but also sometimes your friends. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But one of the things that he brought up, and kudos to Lex Fridman, he asked some decent questions. One of them was about Project 2025, which Donald Trump disavowed again. One more time. How often did we hear at the DNC that Donald Trump was the author of Project 2025, that Donald Trump was the guy behind Project 2025? They even brought out the big book and they threw it down and they read pages from it. And they were like, this is Donald Trump's next administration. These are all the things he wants to do. And Lex Friedman said, what do you have to say to those people?
Let me ask you about Project 2025. So you've publicly said that you don't have any direct connection to Project
Nothing. I know nothing about it. And they know that too. Democrats know that. And I purposely haven't read it because I want to say to you, I have no idea what it's all about. It's easier than saying I read it and, all of the things. No, I purposely haven't read it. And I've heard about it. I've heard about things that are in there that I don't like. And there's some things in there that everybody would like. But there are things that I don't like at all. And I think it's unfortunate that they put it out, but it doesn't mean anything because it has nothing to do with me. Project 25 has absolutely nothing to do with me.
I know about it, and it has nothing to do with me, he says. And the left knows that. They know that. They're perpetuating the lies. They know that Donald Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. They know that Donald Trump has not called for a federal ban on abortion. In fact, he said the opposite here in Florida, ruffling a whole bunch of feathers. They know that Donald Trump never called those dead soldiers suckers and losers. They know that Donald Trump never looked out at the gravestones at Arlington National Cemetery and said, why would they do that? What was in it for them? They know that Donald Trump never said those neo-Nazis were great people. They know that Donald Trump never instituted a Muslim ban. They know that Donald Trump is not a racist, a homophobe, a misogynist. They know that Donald Trump never stole top secret documents. They know that he never assaulted what's her name in the ladies' room or the dressing room. They know that he didn't commit any crimes. They know that he didn't interfere with the election with Stormy Daniels, but they don't care. They're just trying to stop Donald Trump at all costs because politics is a dirty game, and they came to play. And so did Donald Trump. Somebody who did not come to play is Kamala Harris. And we know that because, do I really have to play you the clip from the scene? No, I'm not. I'll spare you. But Lex Friedman asked about her. And this is something he said that I'm going to be honest with you. This next clip, this question, it didn't perturb me, but it concerned me a little bit. This is, and I was a little shocked by Lex Friedman's question here, his demeanor and his, I guess you would say, his take on this issue. This is a problem. If you know of anybody who thinks this way, you got to grab them and you got to shake some sense into them. If you know of anybody who thinks this way, you got to, take them out, just slap them around a little bit and get them to think a different way. If you know somebody who thinks the way Lex Friedman does on this next question, then you really need to do some work on that person because this is one of the biggest problems we have with this country today. Listen.
It's going to be a communist country or close.
And there's a lot of people listening to this, myself included, that doesn't think that Kamala is a communist.
Well, she's a Marxist.
Her father's a Marxist.
That's right.
And she's advocating.
It's a little unusual,
She's advocating for some policies that are towards the direction of democratic socialism, let's say. But there's a lot of people that kind of know the way government works, and they say, well, none of those policies are going to actually come to reality. It's just being used during the campaign to, groceries are too expensive. We need them cheaper. So let's talk about price controls. And that's never going to come to reality.
It could come to reality. Look, I mean, she came out with price control. It's been tried like 121 different times at different places over the years, and it's never worked once. It leads to communism. It leads to socialism. It leads to having no food on the shelves. And it leads to tremendous inflation.
There is an issue, I take personal issue, and you should too, with any American, especially an American who's as influential as Lex Friedman, but any American who says, we know that when she says she wants price controls, we know that when she says she wants to stop price gouging, we know that when she says she's going to federalize the grocery stores and all these other, we know that that's never going to happen. That's just a campaign. She's just saying that so she can get elected. And Donald Trump says it could happen. It could very well happen. There's a lot of things out there that we took for granted would never happen. We never thought that a man could marry another man or a woman could marry another woman. We never thought that would happen at all. We never thought in our lifetime that you would have children in school watching drag queens read them stories and then teach them how to twerk. We never thought about that at all. We never in our lifetimes thought that a tampon dispenser would be installed in the boys' bathroom in Minnesota schools. But thanks to tampon Tim Walz, whose family is voting for Trump, thank God, that's a reality. There's a lot of things that are going on in this country that we never thought would go on in this country. We never thought our border would be wide open. We never thought that these migrants would be taking over our streets. We never thought that entire hotels in New York City that used to house tourists would be housed by migrants who were being paid to eat and sleep and breathe and not work by the city of New York. We never thought that $5 billion would be paid by the citizens of New York to these migrants. We never thought we'd be locked down and be forced to wear masks just to go inside a gas station. We never thought our kids would be dragged out of school, forced with injections if you want to serve in the military or visit the Lincoln Memorial. There's a lot of things that people have said that we never thought would happen, and they turned out to be true. And that's something that you should be very wary of. When Kamala Harris says she has a $1.7 trillion economic plan that includes government price controls, you better believe she's not just using it to get elected. If she gets elected, she's going to do it. When she says, oh, I'm no longer banning fracking, after she said repeatedly she's going to ban fracking, if she gets elected, you better believe she's going to do that. There's so many things she's saying to get elected that if she gets elected, she's going to go, damn, that worked. Wow, I didn't expect that to work. They fell for it. All right, let's go do all that stuff. And it's irresponsible, I believe, for Lex Friedman to say otherwise. Then he got into a couple of other questions about what Donald Trump would do as president, what kind of access the rest of the world would get to the secrets of the United States of America. One of them was about UFOs.
A lot of people are very interested in footage of UFOs. The Pentagon has released a few videos, and there's been anecdotal reports from fighter pilots. So a lot of people want to know, will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available?
Oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I would do that. I'd love to do that. I have to do that. But they also are pushing me on Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And I did release a lot, but I had people come to me and beg me not to do it. But I'll be doing that very early on. But I would do that.
So if you are a UFO hunter, if you're a UFO buff, if you've been listening to Coast AM your entire life, and you are just ready, willing, and just chomping at the bit to see all of this UFO information that the federal government has been hiding from you, if you want Area 51, 41? What is it? Area 51, right? I always forget. If you want that opened up to a theme park, then by all means vote for Donald Trump, because that's what he's got going on. If you want to know the truth about the CIA and Kennedy and everything else, then Donald Trump's your guy, because he is going to make sure that all that stuff becomes public. And then there was something else that a lot of people have been wondering about. Then there's something else that a lot of people have been asking about, and that is this Jeffrey Epstein client list, which for some reason has still not come out. All of these people on Jeffrey Epstein's client list. What's going on? How is it that these people on Jeffrey Epstein's client list still aren't known to most of America? Would Donald Trump be willing to release Jeffrey Epstein's client list?
But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah. It's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
I'd have no problem with it. They do it for danger. You know, there's a lot of people whose lives would be put in danger. There'd be a lot of threats made if this kind of information came out. If it were publicized, then that's dangerous for a lot of folks. That client, that Epstein client list, that is going to be bad news for a lot of people, and it could put them in danger. Physical danger, economic danger, political danger, probably all three. With JFK, it's totally different. Those people are all dead. Anyone who was involved in the conspiracy to assassinate John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, all those people are gone. They are so gone. They're over, man. They're worm food. They're all in the ground. It's been so long. It's been 60 years. There's no one alive. There's no one left. You can incriminate anyone you want. It's just their memory that will then be sullied. But these Epstein people, they're still out there. They're still around. They're still doing things, and they could be in serious danger. But look, Donald Trump said this. He said, "Yeah, I would be inclined to release the Epstein client list." And wouldn't you know it, almost immediately, the Drudge Report posted this headline: Republicans secretly want Trump to lose. Better off with Kamala Harris. Now, to me, I mean, it's not odd that the Drudge Report would publish a headline like that, because the Drudge Report is pro Kamala. They've gone from hyper conservative and patriotic to just another liberal mouthpiece, that's pushing they're aggregating fake news headlines. Republicans secretly want Trump to lose. Better off with Kamala. The thing you need to worry about whenever you see this kind of headline is the word secretly, because secretly usually means BS. Secretly usually means, this isn't really happening, but we want people to think it is, so we're going to name unnamed sources. Secretly means this is fiction. It's not actually fact. But they need to get it out there because they're sending a message to Donald Trump. And the message they're sending to Donald Trump is, there's Republicans on that client list. There's Republicans who would be put into danger, both political, economic, or physical danger, or all three, if that Epstein client list were made public. There are Republicans whose careers would be damaged, probably not just by the Epstein client list, but by whatever the JFK papers say too. This is a message that they're sending via the Drudge Report to Donald Trump, that Republicans want Donald Trump to lose. They're better off with Kamala. Of course, they're better off with Kamala if they have secrets to hold, because Kamala's buddies have the same secrets. Any old school Washingtonian or power player, any big donor from Hollywood or the big tech sector or anywhere else, any of those folks who are embroiled in the Clinton, Obama, Biden, Pelosi, Schumer era, any of these deep staters, Mitch McConnell's been around for a very long time. Who are these prominent Republicans that are now secretly saying we'd be better off with Donald Trump? I have to imagine if you cross-referenced that list with the Epstein client list, there might be a lot of similarities. And if Donald Trump gets elected, we'll be able to see. Surely that's where that headline is coming from. But I digress. Donald Trump was also asked about something going on with crime, because crime is a very big problem. Crime is a growing problem, not just in your town, but in big cities and places like Aurora, Colorado, where Venezuelan street gangs have infiltrated apartment buildings and basically taken them over, armed with guns and rifles to the teeth. They go in and they just start beating down doors and claiming that they're claiming ownership to apartment buildings that they don't own. They're just invading private domiciles. They're doing it in Chicago too.
And now you saw in Aurora, Colorado, a group of very tough young thugs from Venezuela taking over big areas, including buildings. They're taking over buildings. They have their big rifles, but they're taking over buildings. We're not going to let this happen. We're not going to let them destroy our country. And in those countries, crime is way down. They're taking them out of their prisons, which is good, because good for them. I do the same thing. By the way, if I ran one of those countries, any country in the world, I would make sure that America has every one of our prisoners. Every one of our criminals would be here. I can't believe they're going so slowly, but some aren't. But they all are doing it. And we can't let that happen. They're emptying out their prisons and their mental institutions into the United States of America. We can't let that happen.
By the way, I haven't yet seen the headline. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. Donald Trump promises to release murderers into society if he's reelected. What he's saying is 100% accurate. If he were If we were the president of Venezuela or El Salvador or Mexico, he'd say, look, the border to the United States of America is wide open. Let's round up all of our murderers, all of our thugs, all of our rapists. Let's round up all of our drug dealers, all of our human traffickers. Let's get all these people that we don't want in our society, and let's give them a ride to the border. The United States can take them, and they can go take over an apartment building in Aurora, Colorado, and live happily ever after. But it doesn't just stop in Aurora, Colorado. It's also in Chicago, Illinois. And in Chicago, Illinois, you already have gangs. Chicago is one of the deadliest, most gang-ridden cities on the planet. You already have gangs in Chicago. And the thing that Chicago gangs don't like are new gangs coming in, Venezuelan or otherwise, and trying to take over their territory. And yesterday, we played you this 911 call from Chicago about Venezuelan gangs taking over an apartment building.
Unit 3, I'm citywide, person with a gun, 6124 South King Drive. Caller says 32 Venezuelans are trespassing the building, showing guns in the courtyard, and they have motorcycles in the courtyard as well. Also,
32 Venezuelans with guns and motorcycles in the courtyard of an apartment building in Chicago. Sounds like a gang to me. 32 of any person with guns and motorcycles taking over an apartment building. That sounds like a gang to me. Well, the existing street gangs in Chicago who believe they run and own the city are not happy about the Venezuelans, and they're going on TikTok. They're going on TikTok to warn them. Listen to this.
To all Venezuelans in Chicago, this is the warning. If you ain't on no bull, stay neutral. Somebody please translate. Stay neutral.
By the way, I thought that was very nice of him. He was giving out a warning to all Venezuelans, and then he goes, by the way, somebody please translate. Oh, somebody please, because I know a lot of these people don't speak English, so somebody please translate.
If you know somebody that's in your building on bullshit, don't let them run in that building, and don't let nobody see them run in that building. Because once word get out that that's the building that they in, they gonna chop that bitch down. Whatever building, the abandoned building y'all occupying and all that shit. Yeah, you better get your food and just stay in the house. Because they come out doing some bullshit. Y'all gonna regret that.
So this is a guy in Chicago saying, look, warning, please translate to Espanol, warning to all Venezuelans. If you're coming here and you're not into any BS and you just want to stay in your house and eat your food, fine. But if you're coming up here with some BS, be warned. We're gonna chop a B word down, I think was his exact phrase. These are the gangs in Chicago who are saying we don't want other gangs here, and we will fight to keep our territory.
This ain't Colorado. This ain't Utah. This ain't none of them places. This is just like where you from.
By the way, how ominous is that? This ain't Colorado. This ain't Utah. This is just like where you're from. And where they're from is not a good place.
Only difference is y'all use a lot of handgun, old revolvers, and machetes and we got switches. If you're not familiar with what a switch is, we will show you. This ain't like Colorado.
All right, so he's saying you got handguns and old revolvers, and we got switches. And if you're not familiar with what a switch is, we will show you. This is not Colorado. Now, I may or may not be one of those people who was unfamiliar with a switch. What I thought a switch was back in the day when your mom or dad was going to beat the crap out of you because you did something, you like said a wordy dirt or stole something or didn't do your chores, and they'd go outside and say, pick your switch. That's a Southern thing. In North Carolina, they'd be like, pick your switch. And you'd have to go and pick your switch. And if it was too small, then they'd go pick one. And if it was too big, then it would hurt a lot. It's a weird thing. It's a weird Southern thing. Like Scrapple. There's a couple weird things in the South. Scrapple and picking your switch. But that's not what it was. Look, I looked it up in the Urban Dictionary. Look at this. This is weird. A switch is a person who vacillates between dominant and submissive roles within sexual relations. Number 1, are you a dom or sub? Number 2, I like both. I'm a switch. So I wasn't sure how that was going to help with, I didn't know like what that meant. Like y'all Venezuelans got handguns and revolvers. We got switches. So y'all better watch out. We got people who vacillate between being dominant and submissive. I didn't know how that was going to work. So I looked it up again and I typed in gang switch. And look, this is what I came up with. A gang switch is a set of 2 or more switches in as many circuits operated simultaneously by a single control. Like if you have a bunch of different light switches on your wall, that's called a gang switch, which again, I wasn't really sure how that does damage to Venezuelan street gangs, especially if they have, you know, what do you call it? Gun revolvers and stuff like that. But then I found out, I remembered back to my gun training, and there's something that you can add to a Glock called a switch. And it's a little thing that goes on the back, and it transforms your Glock pistol, your single or double action Glock pistol, into a rapid fire machine gun type weapon. And you can empty, what you do is you get like a magazine with 30 or 40 rounds in it. And you'll see sometimes these street gangs, they have them. It's a Glock pistol, and it's got this massively long magazine with 30 or 40 rounds in it and a switch on the back. And when they pull the trigger, it's like an Uzi. In fact, I remember watching some video online of these gangs attacking police officers. I was like, where did they get these Uzis? They didn't. They're Glock pistols that have been modified with a switch that turn them into basically machine guns. So when he says, we got this ain't Colorado. We got switches. What he means is we have semi-automatic and automatic weapons, and we will shoot you down in the apartment buildings and streets. Because this is Chicago, this is our territory, and we don't want you coming in here. Somebody please translate. What Kamala Harris has done, either inadvertently or advertently, is created not just the least safe society we've ever had, not just an open border where you have thugs and rapists and drug dealers and terrorists coming through at a record pace, but she's also now started multiple gang wars in various different urban centers in the United States of America. In Aurora, Colorado, these Venezuelans came in and they took over an apartment building. Guess who rolled on into town? The Hells Angels. And I don't know if you know what the Hells Angels are, but trust me, it's not an a cappella band. They are there to take care of business. Now in Chicago, you've got fully armed street gangs openly threatening Venezuelan street gangs on TikTok. There will be multiple gang-banging situations in multiple urban city centers around the United States before the end of the year. And that is all thanks to Kamala Harris and the Harris-Biden administration's open border policies. And Kamala Harris is going to have to answer for those open border policies. Kamala Harris is going to have to answer to the United States of America for jacking up the crime rate, inviting these criminals and this fentanyl and these gangbangers and these murderers and these thugs and these rapists into our country, not even caring who's coming in, not vetting anybody, not deporting anybody whatsoever. She's going to have to answer for all of that. And luckily, Donald Trump's mic will be muted, so we'll be able to hear her all by her lonesome, struggling for the words to try to figure out exactly how to explain what's been going on.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Yeah. I am very, 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 very excited for this debate. Don't forget, Philadelphia, man, that place is going to be rocking. We are going to be at the National Mechanics Bar, and it's going to be 7 o'clock on September the 11th. I know it's a weird day to party, but it's going to be a subdued, it's going to be more of a get-together, less of like it's not like we're throwing down or anything. It's up to you. I don't know what you have to catch a flight the next day. So you do you. But look, we got a bunch of people who are looking at it. A couple people coming, couple people interested. The National Mechanics Bar and Restaurant, the address is right here, 7 o'clock. We'll be having some beers. Maybe we'll throw back some apps. If you want a cheesesteak, by all means, we'll see what happens. I'm not paying for cheesesteaks. You're on your own. Well, depending on how many people show up, we'll figure out whether we're going Dutch or whether it's all courtesy of Patriot Media, but that's going to be happening next week. So tonight, by the way, totally forgot about this. Tonight, there's a town hall with Sean Hannity and Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump's, it's got to be like his 48th live interview since he got the nomination in Milwaukee. But he's going to have a town hall with Sean Hannity. It was supposed to be a debate, But Kamala Harris backed out at the last minute. She said, I'm not going on Fox News. I don't like their rules. I don't think it's fair. We're already doing a debate on the 10th. I'm not going to come and do a debate with Donald Trump on Fox News. So Donald Trump said, I'll still come. And he's going to be doing, I believe, a 90-minute, it's an hour or 90 minutes, either one, tonight on Fox News. Then next Wednesday, a week from today, it's going to be in Philadelphia again. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris will be at the National Constitution Center for their first and probably only televised presidential debate. And I will be live in Philadelphia doing my show from the National Constitution Center. I will be live in Philadelphia for the debate. We will live stream it for you so that we can all watch together. And then the next day, we're going to have that Patriot meet and greet at 7 p.m. In the meantime, listen, I want to thank everyone who tuned in today. Thank you so much for the super chats. We got a bunch of super chats that came in on YouTube. We tried to highlight as many as we could. Thank you so much for the Rumble rants and all of our Rumble audience and subscribers. Whatever you can do, again, to help us continue to bring you the show every single day. If you can throw some money at us, we will catch it. And like I said, we're going to put it to very good use. If you can't, just watch. Just watching us, giving us your time, sharing this podcast and broadcast. You know, I always say, because people listen to the podcast and they say, Mark, you know, I listen to your podcast and I try to tell people all the stuff that you've told me, and I try to share with like my friends and my neighbors. And I have this, you know, my sister's such a liberal and I'm trying to convert her, and I listen to your podcast, but I just can't say it as well as you do. You don't have to. Just send your liberal sister the link for the podcast and tell her to listen, because, I mean, I've already said it. I've already recorded it. The more you share this podcast, the more you share our videos, the more people you tell about it, the more Patriots that we can get in to our Patriot nation, the better and stronger we're going to be. And the easier it's going to be for us to fight and to win and to save the Republic.